So now we've got our data inside. Let's take a look at how we can start to structure our application. So you know that we're going to need a table to display all the data that's in index. And to do that, we might also want pagination. Pagination is easily dealt with. We might also want to have it to be responsive so that the application can be viewed on a mobile device, which is kind of tricky with tables, but we'll deal with that. So let's get started by just doing a basic table just for all the data. So we know that what the data looks like, because as I showed you before, we have a name, URL, have all this data here. Let's just log that out quickly and we can just get an idea for what we're getting here. We could also look at the JSON file, which I might actually do as well, but this is a better way of doing it. So I'm just going to keep that on my other screen, which you can't see. We're going to close the server because we won't need it for a second. And what we're going to need to do is just create I think we should create a component in this case, just because that's sort of where Ember 2 is going to be anyway. Let's create a component. Nym table. It is just a component, so we're going to generate a component here. Okay, so this component is going to take in a list of all the data of all the packages. So we'll just call it packages, and we're going to call it null. Actually, we're going to set it to an array, just because I like to make it more explicit. So it's taking a list of packages. And what it's going to have is the most recent packages probably, and so forth. So so that's all we really need in this case. And so let's go and look at that template now. We've got a template for the components under nym table, and all we really want to do is create a table only if there are packages. So so there's two ways we could actually have a variable for that, but in this case we can just use handlebars. So if packages length, if it's a 0, then it means no, it doesn't have any. So we'll just create this table. So let's create a table. I've got a nice snippet for that. We'll just say list of all packages, and we'll have the first one is going to be the name, and the second one, the second one is going to be, I should probably do that again. You probably missed it anyway. List of all nym packages. Column 1 is going to be name, and column 2 is going to be, I don't know, what did we have over here again? Let's take a look. I forgot about this. Oops, I had it in this one here. So we have name, description. Well, what do they do in Ember? They have owner, score, updated. So, so I guess, let's see, they have the owner here. So they have a URL for it. Obviously, that'll be part of the name. The web, probably not. I think we just have a description in this case. It looks like there is no owner name here. Oh, no, name is Flowtech, but that's just the name of the actual repository. So we'll just go with name, and then maybe the just the URL in this case. I think that's fine. We can have that URL in there. So let's put in the URL. Okay, so now we've got our little funky table here. We need to actually start to create a list of a row for that. So we'll just go each, and for each as package, each package will have whatever. So since each package is a name, we'll just replace that in there. And if we have a, just have a, so you need to have a call span here actually. So it should be tr and then td call span is equal to 2, and we'll just go, oops, no packages found, something went wrong. At least we'll know. And then up here we're going to have the same format, so we'll just move this down here. It's nicely generated for us. The name will be, once again, package name, and then the URL, which I believe, let's double check that's correct. We have a, it's actually, yep, it's called URL, so that should be fine. We've got that and that. And now all we need to do is make sure that we have this on our index page. So application, we don't need this anymore. Maybe we just have a title, maybe header roles equal to banner, because we want to be accessible here, and have an h1.app title or something. Or how about this? Title, and just call it, actually, how do I want that? Nim browser, and then maybe a description, banner description, browse all nim packages. And that's all we need for the header. And we're going to have our main, which of course we can just stick in there anyway. So that'll be part of the index. So you just go main. It's just some bootstrap stuff. Role is equal to main to be accessible once again. And then here we can just have our outlet, which will include our table. In this case, we don't just want an outlet, but we want to do, want to make sure that because we've got our model in there, all we need to do is go nim table packages equals to model. And that's going to do all we need to do for us. So let's go and serve that. Oops, I think that might actually work. Yeah, okay, good. So it'll just refresh once we do that, and we'll see a list of our table, which will be great. All right, let's head up back over, refresh. We've got an error of some kind. Oh, it worked. So there we go. We've got a list of all of our names and URLs for each one. So that's pretty easy. We just got this started in just a couple minutes. We've got all of the lists here. But let's go further than that. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to actually move this forward and get more information to our users on the Nim browser. Okay, everyone, so in the last video, we created a Nim browser which displays all of the packages that are available to Nim. We've just got a basic table right now with a fallback that shows if there's no tables that can be retrieved. This is all done without using Ember data at all, so that's a pretty neat thing we can do with Ember. In this video, I'd like to show you how we can just add some more functionality, like adding the actual URLs to the name. And so we can also get some other information that we're grabbing from the repository, such as the tags, which might also be relevant. You might want to search by tags, and you also want to maybe show the license. So let's do that. So the first thing we need to do is let's add a URL to the actual name. So what we want is right over here, we want this actually be a link as well for each package. So to do that, let's go look back at our template. In our Nim table, we have a list of all of the names of each one. So in here, what I want to do is check if there's a URL, just as a failsafe. So if package.url, then we'll actually wrap this link. So in this case, we'll go href is equal to package.url. Okay, and we want to have a title in here just to be accessible as well. And we'll have a package.title, I believe. Or no, it's package.name. Okay. Unless actually better is package.description, package.name, and let's just add a dash in there. We might also have wanted to do a failsafe, but I'm not going to. .description, because every package does have a description, I believe. So then we'll just have the same thing in here, package.name. Awesome. So otherwise, it'll just show the package name, which is what we had initially. Okay, so let's see what we've got then. Package URL, package description. We got a title in there, and everything looks great. One other thing we also want to do is probably add a target so that it doesn't open on the same window. So we'll just target blank. Let's refresh, and we'll see if this works. Awesome, so we just did this, and now we can look and see a list of all the packages. When we hover over, we get a nice tooltip that displays the information, which is great for people who are using screen readers. They don't actually have to look through the description. They can just go to each link, and it speaks out to them as you would expect. So let's go, for example, click on Python. It creates a new link for us, and it unfortunately is pulling up the Git URL, which isn't quite what we wanted. Some of these have HTTPS URLs I'm noticing right now, which is rather inconsistent. So what we actually want to do is truncate the protocol. So all we need to do for that is, unless they actually have a different web, unless I'm wrong, I'd actually be wanting web here. Yeah, so instead we'll just use web. So we don't really want URL, we want web. So if package.web, we'll just replace this with that. And over here as well. So, and yeah, this is actually not good because we're still falling back to that, but it's okay in our case. So let's double check that fix worked. Cool. So now if we click on, for example, the Nimble, it'll pull up the GitHub repository as we'd expect, and we also get a Git URL as well. I'm not sure people will be using that, but at least this will give us this here. So the last thing we want to do is get a description on each one. As you know that each one has a description, so so let's do that quickly. We'll just add another th here for a description, and then we can just pull that in here for a description. Now we might also want to make sure that that's a P, because it's really a paragraph that we want. It would make no sense just to have that in a T. So let's do that and refresh. So there we have it. We have a list of all the packages and their descriptions for each one.